Welcome everyone to another episode of Latino World Travelers virtual travel party. Today we have with us the amazing micro-cation queen, Princess. She's gonna talk to us about exploring St. Louis, Missouri, the getaway to the West. So I cannot thank you enough for being here. Thank you so much, Princess. And I
Thank
leave
you
the
for
floor to
inviting me.
you.
I'm so excited. So I'm Franny. I'm known as the micro-cation queen. And so the term micro-cation actually means someone who travels for 5 or less nights in a particular destination. And so for me, I've realized over time, I keep planning more and more trips that are short, long weekend getaways. And part of it is because I'm an assistant principal as my full-time job. So I don't have much vacation days. And so the best way for me to see a place is like take advantage of like MLK weekend or Columbus Day. And so also having the goal to travel all 50 states, I think it makes it very easy to plan a microcation as well, because you can hop on a quick 2-hour flight and be somewhere else like immediately.
Absolutely. And tell us about St. Louis. When did you go? What did you do there?
Yeah, so St. Louis was actually one of my microcations during a long weekend. I think it was a Columbus weekend actually 2 years ago. And so basically, I always try to look for a location that's just cheaper in price, because sometimes around long weekends, prices can be more. But then I also wanted to find a place I've never been state-wise. And so St. Louis happened to be the cheaper option of the places listed. And I was like, oh, I've never really been there. I only know the Gateway Arch, so why not try this out? And it's actually one of my favorite vacations to date. So.
Wow, that sounds phenomenal. Now, when you say you're looking at prices for the flights, where are you looking?
So my number one is Skyscanner. Skyscanner, what I always do is just put the dates that I'm available to travel, because I don't actually have the flexibility of dates because I have to travel when I'm off. But then I would just click anywhere and see what pops up. So on Skyscanner, you can see all the US states in order from cheapest to greatest. You can also do that for international travel. And then sometimes I would use Google Flights as well, since they have similar features.
Oh, very nice, very nice. And you went on the Columbus weekend. How many days did you spend there in total?
So I arrived Friday night. So I have a habit of literally jetting from work during these times. So I packed my suitcase, brought it to work, headed straight to the airport. And then I came back Monday, late afternoon or evening, just enough time to basically, relax, go to sleep, and then head back to work the next day.
Okay. So did you take a red eye flight coming back and went straight to work?
No, so I'm not that bad. I would do that to maximize time, but I also know I need sleep. So sometimes what I would try to do, I would aim for a flight that lands back in New York, let's say around 6, 7 p.m. So that way I could at least have brunch in the location I'm at before hopping on the flight coming back home.
Excellent, excellent. And what area do you recommend people stay when they go to St. Louis?
So I would say the downtown city center area, specifically as close to the Gateway Arch as possible, because you have a national landmark there, but that's also where a lot of restaurants and businesses are located, either walking distance or a quick Uber drive. And so literally everything is there.
Now you have prepared presentations for us. I'm
Uh-huh.
excited to see what you got.
Let me share my screen. Yep, just to briefly reinforce, I'm an educator both in the classroom and outside the classroom. So in the classroom as an assistant principal, and then outside the classroom, I have a blog known as Franny the Traveler. And so I use that as a way to educate others on travel, essentially. And I specifically focus on microcations, domestic travel, and Black travel. However, Black travel, I would say, is two lens. There's the traveling while Black, but then there's also how can you support Black, whether you're a Black person or not. And then I also promote plus size travel and solo female travel. So St. Louis, which is actually nicknamed the Gateway to the West of where it's specifically located in the country. So I'll talk about why you should go to St. Louis, what are the must-sees, do's, and eats. And then I also did research around traveling during COVID time. So I wanted to make sure to choose a place that's actually open for people, just in case you want to make that trip this summer, because I know everyone's itching to go somewhere. And then free resources you can look at as you're planning your trip. So in terms of location, I would say it is very convenient in terms of flight since it's in the middle of the country. So if you're in New York, it's only a 2.5-hour flight. If you want to do a road trip, you can do a 15-hour drive and just stop in other states along the way. So you can see in this map, you can go through Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana to end up in St. Louis. And then if you're in Chicago, it's actually only a 4.5-hour flight. So if you're in any of those Midwestern states, that's literally a quick day trip. Also, interestingly, St. Louis has some of the most free attractions in the country. So aside from DC, St. Louis is second when it comes to the number of free attractions. So everything from like the History Museum to the Art Museum to the zoo and the Science Center is free 99. Who doesn't want to save money?
Who would have thought?
Yeah, there's like 20, 30 attractions that you can get in without having to spend money. So take advantage of that. And then the other thing is, which I don't think people realize as much, is the history of St. Louis. So St. Louis actually was like the center of jazz music, specifically in the Midwest. It also was important in the Underground Railroad. So Missouri was actually a slave state, but then Illinois, which borders it, was a free state. So you would see a lot of free people traveling to St. Louis. So there was a mix of slaves and free people interacting with each other. And then I would say most importantly was the Dred Scott decision. So for those who don't know, that was a decision that basically said for Black people, whether they're a slave or free, are not considered citizens of this country. So you can actually visit the courthouse where that decision was made in St. Louis. And then there's famous people from there. So Maya Angelou, Chuck Berry, and then rappers Nelly and Chingy, throwback. And so in terms of must-see, so like I said, the only thing I knew about St. Louis before going here was about the Gateway Arch. And so I had to make sure to prioritize that. The arch itself is free to enter. There's also a museum they created recently called the Museum of Western Expansion at the bottom of Gateway Arch. And that tells you the history of Gateway Arch, as well as the history of the Midwest and how they tried to expand to the West Coast. However, if you want to like add additional experiences, you can do a tram ride, which is $14 to $16. So the tram ride is cool because you actually ride inside the arch.
What?
I know. I was wondering, how is that possible? But I did it.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, so it literally takes you up the arch all the way to the midway point. And this picture I have here is the view from the arch once you're up there. So you can literally get to see St. Louis from high above. And it's cool. It's like a little car that only fits 4 to 5 people. And it works like a Ferris wheel inside because it has all these corners it needs to fit through. But it'll take you to the top. And then I would also recommend there's a documentary for you to watch about how this was built. And so when I watched it, I gained so much appreciation for that structure in terms of how it was built. And you can also actually get a package that has everything. So my big tip would be there's a see everything combo that has the tram ride, the documentary, and there's also a riverfront cruise you can take as well. So if you buy it all together, you would save, I think, like $4 or $5, which again, any money you can cut out is always a good thing.
Absolutely, yes.
I would also recommend the History Museum. So that's also another free thing. So for me, I actually always like to go to a state museum when I go to a new state, because it helps me understand how the state is the way they are right now. You learn from the beginning of its origins to present day and how did they develop over time. So this is one of the few history museums I would say in the country that are actually free, and it's also located near the zoo and the science museum. So my recommendation would be, if you get up and arrive there at 9 o'clock, you can fit everything in that day, so you don't have to make a trip to keep visiting these things. And the other must see,
maximize that day.
yes, exactly. Especially if it's a micro-cation, you need to maximize your time. You don't have much time. Yeah. And then the last thing is the National Blues Museum, which I didn't realize it was there, but it goes through the history of blues and even how like rock and roll has had an impact. Well, how the blues impacted the Rock and Roll Museum. And it's near a very, you go to the museum, you're just gonna smell barbecue.
Well, real barbecue or just the smell?
No. Real barbecue, like St. Louis ribs barbecue, cooked well. And then if you actually go on the Sunday, they have live music. So you can pay a few extra dollars to get in to see the live music happening.
That is so cool.
Let me see a little bit. I have a YouTube of jazz. Rock me, baby. Rock me, baby. Oh, you rock me, rock me still. Go ahead, baby. She was amazing.
Very cool. Nice.
So that's a little taste of St. Louis blues for you. In terms of must-dos, so I would say, one, checking out the live music scene. You can pretty much find live music in St. Louis every single night, which is something I didn't realize until I arrived there. But the two top places I would say, if you can go to the National Blues Museum, and then there was Broadway Oyster Bar, which you can get amazing char-grilled oysters while listening to the music, and it's a very laid-back vibe. They have a section outdoors that you can like relax. People are dancing. It's just a cool vibe overall. Then I would say get a drink, specifically at this location, 360 Bar. So this is located at the Hilton St. Louis, but this is the view from the top of the rooftop. And so you can get pretty much everything from like, this is probably one of the few places you can actually see the arch, because if you notice the other view, since you're in it, you're not going to actually have a picture with the arch in it. So from above, this is like a perfect way to get both of them in there. And there's also a football stadium you can get a view of as well.
Wow.
And then the riverboat ride. So if you get that combo, there's an hour ride that you can take. And so this is also another way of getting the view of the arch from a different angle as well. And you can also, they give you history and narrate it, or you could just chill, and live music, boat ride too. It's a very, chill vibes.
When you went,
and then of course eating is important, right?
How was the weather when you went in October?
So the weather, I was surprised, was still quite nice. I thought it was going to be chilly because when I went to Chicago, which is nearby, in October, it was like 40 degrees. However, St. Louis at that time, I think, was somewhere in the late 60s, early 70s. So I remember it was hot enough where I did not need to wear a jacket at times. So like, for example, if you see here, like I don't even have a jacket on. So I think that's the perfect time to go, because then it gets really cold in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
And so must eats. I'm all about the food when traveling.
I'm ready.
I would say you have to have, I know you love food. So I would say St. Louis barbecue, obviously. Like, you can't go to St. Louis without having the barbecue. One thing I had learned about how it's cooked, so it's St. Louis barbecue because they usually grill it first and then add the sauce later, versus adding the seasoning first and then grilling it. And so my top two spots I would recommend is Pappy's Smokehouse and Sugar Fire. Sugar Fire is the one that's located next to the National Blues Museum, while Pappy's Smokehouse is a little far out. I would say for both of them, you need to come early. So Pappy's Smokehouse, I got there 10 minutes before it opened, and there was already 5 people in front of me. And so by the time they opened and I seated, the line already went like outside the door and around the corner. Like, that's how good their barbecue is.
And they don't allow reservations. It's just first
no,
served.
they don't.
Wow.
Versus Sugar Fire, it's a huge place, so there's not going to be a line, but they run out of things quickly. So because I went in the evening, they ran out of the ribs. So I ended up trying like a barbecue sandwich.
Yeah.
So they're serious about their barbecue in St. Louis, for sure.
I see.
This was interesting. So I like to try things that are unique to the state. And so for St. Louis, there's something called a gooey butter cake, which pretty much, it looks like a brownie, but it's super sweet. I don't know how it's created, but I know the originator, it was a mistake. Like, they were trying to make a cake and then they ended up making this instead. And then they found out, oh, it tastes good, so I'm just gonna keep making it. But you can find this in a lot of bakeries of St. Louis. However, my tidbit is, and I didn't realize till after, so learn from my mistake, is that if you go to the Gateway Arch first, they have booklets with coupons, and there's a coupon for you to get a free slice of this cake at a specific cafe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
everything that's free is welcome.
Exactly. And so St. Louis is like the epitome of free, apparently. So. And then the other thing, which is very interesting, is called Snoot. So it kind of looks like pork rinds, or, chicharron, but basically it's, they take the nose and the cheek of the pig and it's grilled for hours until it gets really crispy. And so there's one place, it's a very casual takeout called Smoky O's. It's Black owned. It's been there for years. It's won lots of barbecue awards. They were the creators of Snoot, actually. So when I went to try some other food, they were like, you want to try it out? So they'll actually offer it to you for free if you've never had Snoot, just to have the experience. Yeah.
How did it taste? Did you like it?
So for me, it's so crispy that I feel like it was getting stuck in between my teeth. So it tastes good, but it's just really hard to chew. It's like if you had the pork skin that just got fried so hard to the point that it just snaps. Mm-hmm. That's how it basically is. So it's one of those things I can't eat long term, but it was good to try. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of tips around COVID travel in St. Louis. So I would recommend anytime if you're traveling during COVID, check airports. Even if you're not going through the airport, they usually offer tips of safety. So specifically for St. Louis, a good thing is many things are open in comparison to other cities. So like you can actually visit the Gateway Arch. You can visit the museum downstairs. The only thing you won't be able to do is to ride the tram, which is understandable because it's such a small space. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to figure out how to open it, I think, later in the summer or in the fall. So I would just check the website. However, their river boats are also open as well. Their zoo is open, and then the history museum is open too. They're just allowing 10% capacity. So I would say anywhere you go, just check to see if you need to make reservations and not show up. But things are open.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say
That's really good to know for people who want to take that quick getaway.
yeah. And I would say like that tip is for anywhere. So even if it's not St. Louis, I've realized with a lot of the research I've been doing about different states, it's that you have to make reservations ahead of time. So it's just better off emailing or making that extra phone call before arriving and then being denied entrance.
Absolutely, yes.
And then I would say in terms of resources, so on my blog, frannythetraveler.com, I actually have written 3 blog articles about St. Louis. So some of the things I have here and other things are also on there. Also, the food spots are on there. And if you want to travel specifically learning the Black history of St. Louis or Black owned, because I know now with the Black Lives Matter movement, like everyone is trying to support Black owned businesses, you can check that out. And then the most recent article, which you're into, the 15 must-see USA destinations, I put St. Louis as one of those destinations. So I put links where you can find the COVID-19 traveler information on there.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so lots of resources planned.
And as I'm hitting all the states, this is one that I'm still missing, Missouri. So I am looking forward to visiting St. Louis soon. So this is really important. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask her about this particular city or about traveling domestically, doing micro-cations? You can unmute yourself or you could type it in chat. Yes, no, maybe. Oh, did you feel safe there traveling alone?
I did. And it's interesting because I will admit I was nervous to go to St. Louis at first alone, just because I didn't know much about it, and what I had heard it wasn't always the most positive on the news. However, I felt completely safe. I think everyone welcomed me with open arms. Even like I took Uber rides for the most part, mainly because I was there for such a short period of time. So I wanted to get there as quickly as possible. But all the Uber drivers were super friendly, super friendly. So, and because I stayed in the downtown area, that's also another reason why I do that. When I travel alone, I like to stay where all the businesses and the restaurants are. And so you're usually surrounded by other tourists as well, and there's foot traffic. So I felt completely safe.
Mm-hmm. Did you rent a car or did you take like from the airport to go to the hotel? How did you get there?
So I took an Uber. So unfortunately, me being a native New Yorker, like I still have not yet to know how to drive yet. That is something I need to learn. And so very often when I travel, if I'm traveling by myself, I either take public transportation or I took Uber. So from this case in the airport, because of the time I landed, I ended up taking Uber. But sometimes if I land earlier in the day, I would take public transportation to and from the airport.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Did you explore the nightlife too, or?
So I didn't do like club life, I would say, because usually I'm the type of person, like I will do club life if I'm with other people. I just don't feel as safe. However, I did more of the laid back bar lounge nightlife. So for example, Broadway Oyster Bar, when I was there, it was like somewhere between 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. So that was part of the nightlife, but it was just a live music scene. So I would say St. Louis overall is very chill when it comes to their nightlife. However, I don't know what the club experience is like in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. How do you work, like when you travel by yourself, how do you deal with eating the food? Because sometimes you want to try everything and you cannot eat everything. That happens to be in New Orleans. I wanted to try 5 different dishes, but I'm like, I had to taste each one, and then I feel guilty about throwing it out.
I know. I think one, I try to see if there's an option on the menu that has a combo. So for me, if there's like a combo of like, oh, I can get chicken, barbecue chicken and barbecue ribs and like the beef. Let me try that because then I can sample different things, or getting meals that sometimes come with 2 to 3 sides because then it's cheaper than buying a bunch of entrees, or just seeing if there's a tasting menu, like is there is there an option of like mini samples. And sometimes when they know you're not from around, so when I was in Cleveland, actually, the guy noticed, the waiter, that I wanted to try 2 things, but I didn't want to spend for 2 things. But then when he came with my food, he came with the second thing that I was thinking about. And he was like, oh, this is a gift for you for free because I know you wanted to try it out. So I think very often when you're traveling alone, and especially when you're a woman traveling alone, people just want to make you not feel lonely. So they're like more willing to accommodate you.
That is wonderful. Now, where is your next micro-cation? I know right now times are difficult, but where are you hoping to go?
That is a great question. I think at this point, I'm trying to keep it to New York State. So I'm hoping to do either the Catskills or the Poconos later in July, because I was actually supposed to have my bachelorette trip, and that's not happening in Barbados. So I think we're gonna downsize a little, but I think it'll still be cute. And then I was also looking at Saratoga Springs. Someone I saw on Facebook was posting recently her experience there during COVID-19, and it seems like there's things that are open and relaxing. So, and it's only, I think, 3 to 4 hours by Amtrak. So I think that's also a good option.
Yes. I attended SUNY Albany, so I know the Saratoga area. Yes, yes. Well, as you know, I'm doing a cross-country trip.
I know.
Chicago. I've never been here before, so it looks just like New York City, pretty much.
That's what I tell people for Chicago. It's pretty much New York City, but more space and cleaner.
Pretty much. And I'm going to meet with Carlos, who's here now. I'm going to meet with him later because he lives here. So I'm so excited. He said he was cooking for me.
Oh, okay.
Yay. So anyone else? Do you have any questions about traveling domestically or anything about micro-cations that you want to ask? About traveling solo as well, since you do a lot of solo traveling? You could put it on the chat, or you can unmute yourselves. This is so exciting that you're here. Because it seems like we know each other so well, but we barely meet in person. But
it's so funny because it makes you realize like how close like the online world can be. And I think it's because we also have like friends, like mutual friends of each other. And so, yeah, this is like the longest we probably have talked aside from the vision board night that you created.
Yes. Oh, I have one question. Did you have any specific drinks that are from Missouri or St. Louis?
That I did not see. I didn't think to research into that, but I think that's, I wonder if there is a specialty, but that is something I think I thought of like in New Orleans. I know they have a lot of specialty drinks.
Like the grenade.
Right.
And things like that. Very good. Now, you have visited 31, how many states? 35.
35. And I was supposed to do 36 Memorial Day weekend, but.
Where was it?
It was going to be to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, wow. Yes, New Mexico is such a great state. Well, whenever you are able to go, I'm sure you're going to have a great time.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm going to keep going through your feed, looking at your stories and reading your blogs. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Sigda. I don't want to say it wrong, but she's asking, what is your favorite destination within the US for vacation?
So for me, I would say my top hands down is Chicago, actually. Chicago is where I could actually see myself moving. Like if someone was like, choose a place to move outside of New York, it would be Chicago. Not just because it feels like New York, but one, I think the skyscraper is amazing. Like I think because the river runs through Chicago, I feel like it just makes the skyscrapers look all the more beautiful. But then there's just so much to do in terms of museums, places to eat. I've only been there twice, but each time I fall more and more in love with it. And then I also appreciate there's so many different cultures of food. However, I would say outside of Chicago, just to shout out a place that's not as well known, is Minneapolis. And so Minneapolis, I know recent events has people scared. However, it does also have a lot to offer. So they have a huge immigrant population. So as a result, it's reflected in the food. Like you can find a Trinidadian place to eat at. You can find an Ethiopian place to eat at, a Somalian place to eat at. But then you also have access to nature too. Like I was able to actually take an Uber to the waterfalls, which is really convenient because usually nature is like really far from the downtown area. So the fact that I was able to get to this beautiful waterfall through an Uber ride just shows how much is really close by in Minneapolis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to check that out too. You're giving more ideas. Look, I am not playing games. I take notes.
Oh, that's some detailed notes.
I'm like, oh, this is going in my planner from when I travel. Yes, I try to be also as specific. I'm not as good as posting on social media, but I do travel a lot. Like from this trip, you may see 2 pictures.
But you've hit up like a dozen places.
I just transferred 25,000 pictures from my phone.
Oh, wow.
I have a happy finger to snap pictures, but not necessarily to post them online. Is that I haven't found the balance on what is to post to show people, like, oh, look, go here, there, and not bragging at the same time, or showing my privilege, because I am privileged.
Right. No,
I'm able to travel and,
No, I mean, I think that's like an important conversation because I think people travel is a privilege. Like not everyone can afford to travel. Like, I think that's why I've taken so much of advantage of it now because I did not have that privilege growing up. But I think people can sense from the energy and what you put out there of like, okay, is this like genuine learning and genuine curiosity, or is this person trying to show off? But that's also why I created the separate travel account and blog, because at some point I was feeling awkward just posting all that on my personal feed, and I'm like, does everyone even care about this? So if you do care, you can just go on to the other account and get all of that.
I feel you. Like there's so many things to learn from you. Trust me. I'm gonna learn so much in your journey to becoming the next big person in travel. Like I see you in conferences. I see you,
I appreciate you
doing your thing, winning awards, maybe having your own TV show.
Who knows, right?
Let's dream for the stars.
Speak it into existence.
Exactly.
And it happened right here.
Exactly. I have it on video. Got it on camera. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking your time to sharing all of this knowledge with us. And I'm really looking forward to going to St. Louis and also going to Missouri. Minneapolis, that you just shared that about being off Chicago a little bit too. And I will see now that I'm in Chicago if Albie will be here with you.
Yes. I hope you fall in love with Chicago.
I mean, I already have a laundry list of restaurants that I want to visit, which I will not be able to do this visit because I only have one night. But I know for sure that I'm going to come back.
But I think Chicago's a great place. I like the Midwest in general because it's so close. Like you literally could just spend a weekend. You could leave Friday night. You could just come back Sunday and be back at work Monday, and you could have had a great weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again and have a beautiful evening. We will
Thank you
talk
so
soon.
much. And best of luck on your road trip. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Keep hosting.
I still have a week and a half to go. Oh Lord. But soon I'll be in my own bed.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Well, thank you everyone for being here. And please join us every Thursday. We have a new episode next Thursday. We're going to have Ruben. He's going to introduce us to Chile. Then after that, I'm going to have my best friend, Richard. He's going to introduce us to Haiti.
Oh,
After
I love
that,
Richard.
yes. After that, we're going to have Priselis. She's going to introduce us to Kenya. Then we have Serbia, Ghana, Canada. So Argentina, Bolivia, Guatemala. We are all booked up all the way to September.
Yes.
So every Thursday we cover a different country, highlighting Latinos who are doing their thing out there around the world. So you could feel represented and you could see if they made it, you can also do it. So,
and that's important for both adults and students to see as an educator. So,
and that's why I created Latino World Travelers, to inspire each other and to empower you to not be fearful. Just go out there, do it.
I agree.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Adios. Take care.